Hey everyone, Dr. Cleworth here, and welcome to the Learning Unit 2 Blueprint. This unit, we are stepping deeper into the strange and often unsettling world of early 20th century modernism. If Learning Unit 1 was about setting the scene, new technologies, urban life, fractured empires, this unit is going to be about how artists, writers, and thinkers responded to that chaos by breaking the old rules and inventing new ones. So here's what we're going to be covering. We'll start by talking about trauma, specifically the trauma of World War I, and how it reshaped the artistic imagination for the rest of the century. You're going to learn about trench warfare and mechanized death and how these aspects of World War I shattered the 19th century belief in progress and led to a radically different form of expression. This is where movements like Dada come in, which was kind of an anti-art that was equal part protest, nonsense, and rebellion. We'll also turn our attention to Russia, where revolution, which began in 1917, wasn't just political, it was artistic. You'll explore how Russian artists responded to the Bolshevik Revolution and how their work tried to envision a whole new kind of society. Spoiler, things got weird, geometric, and deeply experimental. From there, we're going to pivot to Sigmund Freud. Yes, that Freud. Whether or not you buy into all of his theories, Freud gave us tools to think about dreams, the unconscious, and repressed emotion. Tools that artists and writers grabbed hold of and ran with. In particular, his influence on surrealist art cannot be overstated. These artists were obsessed with dreams, symbols, and that blurry line between desire and reality, concepts that are fully ensconced in Freud's wheelhouse. You're also going to be invited in this unit to rethink something you might have taken for granted, and that is the question, what is art? That question really sits at the heart of this class. You're going to watch a short video that breaks down competing definitions of art, then looks at how artists like Kazimir Malevich and Marcel Duchamp intentionally changed the entire idea of what art could be. Malevich, for example, paints a black square and tells us it's the new the new 0 point of creativity and Western art. Duchamp turns a urinal, a very unlikely object for artistic consideration, into a gallery piece. Both of these artists weren't just trying to be cute. They were forcing the world to reconsider what counts as creativity and who gets to decide. This all builds to a video called Art or Prank, which is a great little video produced by the folks over at the Art Assignment, which is an outfit of public broadcasting, and they do this whole series of videos under the Art Assignment label, and they're very, very cool. So in this particular one, Art or Prank, a couple of pranksters leave a pair of glasses on the floor of the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, and they watch as people treat them like artistic objects, even sacred objects. And at first, it's really kind of funny, but it's also kind of profound. And the video asks us to really think about important questions. Are we trained to see art in a certain way? What happens when that training gets disrupted by an act perpetrated by pranksters like the guys in the museum, or even by someone like Duchamp, who presents a signed urinal as a submission to a salon competition. So we're going to leave that aside for a moment. And then finally, in our learning unit, we're going to move from the gallery to the page with an introduction to both poetry, particularly poetry that is written by soldiers in World War I, and we'll also be taking a look at modernist literature. So with respect to the component focused on poetry, you'll find that in the foundation section of the learning unit. And I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to approach a poem in such a way that doesn't provoke a lot of anxiety. We're going to talk about things like keeping an open mind, the real importance of reading poems aloud, the notion of embracing ambiguity. And a friend of mine will join me in sort of a mini podcast to work with you through a really famous World War I poem. Beyond the poetry, we're also going to go into modernist literature, and you're going to read a short excerpt from Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, a novel that captures the inner life of its characters through what we call stream of consciousness writing. This isn't storytelling as usual. It's not the storytelling that people had become very acclimated to since really the birth of the novel in the the early 17th century with writers like Miguel Cervantes and his famous novel Don Quixote, considered by many scholars to be the first ever novel. This type of storytelling, stream of consciousness storytelling, is going to be fragmented, fluid, and deeply personal. Authors like Virginia Woolf aren't telling us what happens externally. Instead, what she's doing is showing us how it feels to be alive in a changing world. So by the end of this unit, you'll have encountered explosions in the visual art, experiments in fiction, psychological breakthroughs, and some sort of artistic and philosophical pranks. It's a lot, but it's also the foundation of what we now call contemporary culture. So, are you ready to dive in? Let's go.